you have all these propositions and et cetera, and they differ from the religions, and they don't seem to be considered legitimate by many people. But yet there's something functioning in the religions that is transforming people and making them wiser. And I put it to you that the transformations are largely occurring at those non-propositional levels: the procedural, the perspectival, and the participatory. And those are the ones, by the way, that are more fundamentally connected to meaning making. Because remember, the propositions are representational and they're dependent on the non-propositional, non-representational processes of connectedness and relevance realization. So religion goes down deep to the non-propositional and works there. Thus the functionality we need to grasp.
Well, you talk about tools, essentially, that humans are able to incorporate into their cognition. Psychotechnologies, like language is one, I suppose. Isn't religion then a psychotechnology?
It would be an ecology of psychotechnologies, yes.
And the question is that Nietzsche ruined everything by saying God is dead. Do we have to invent the new thing? From the old phone, create the iPhone, invent the new psychotechnology that takes place of religion.
And so when the madman in Nietzsche's text goes into the marketplace, who's he talking to? He's not talking to the believers. He's talking to the atheists. And he says, do you not realize what we have done? Right? We have taken a sponge and wiped away the sky. We are now forever falling. We are unchained from the sun. We have to become worthy of this.
Yeah. Well, Nietzsche is full of romantic bullshit.
No. But there's a point there.
Yes.
The point is, right, there's one thing to rejecting the proposition. There's another project of replacing the functionality that we lost when we reject the religion.
So his worry that as nihilism takes hold, you don't ever replace the thing that religion, the role that religion played in our
maybe
world.
It's hard to tell what he actually, because he's so multivocal. I'll speak for me rather than for Nietzsche. I think it is possible to, using the best cognitive science and respectfully exacting what we can from the best religion and philosophical traditions, because there's things like Stoicism that are on the gray line between philosophy and religion. Buddhism is the same. Doing that best cog sci, that best exaptation, we can come up with that functionality without having to buy into the particular propositional sets of the legacy religions. That's my proposal. I call that the religion that's not a religion.
So things like Stoicism or modern Stoicism, those things, don't you think in some sense they naturally emerge? Don't you think there's a longing for meaning?
So Stoicism arises during the Hellenistic period when there was a significant meaning crisis in the ancient world because of what had happened after the breakup of Alexander the Great's empire. So if you compare Aristotle to people who are living after Alexander, so Aristotle grows up in a place where everybody speaks the same, has a language, has the same religion. His ancestors have been there for years. He knows everybody. After Alexander the Great's empire is broken up, people are now thousands of miles away from the government. They're surrounded by people because of the diasporas, right? The diasporas, I should say. They're surrounded by people that don't speak their language, don't share their religion. That's why you get all these mother religions emerging, right? Universal mother religions like ISIS, etc. So there is what's called domicide. There's the killing of home. There's a loss of a sense of home and belonging and fittedness during the Hellenistic period, and Stoicism arose specifically to address that. And because it was designed to address a meaning crisis, it is no coincidence that it is coming back into prominence right now.
Well, there could be a lot of other variations. And
totally.
It feels like, I think when you speak of the meaning crisis, you're in part describing, not prescribing. You're describing something that is happening. But I would venture to say that if we just leave things be, the meaning crisis dissipates because we long to create institutions, to create collective ideas. So this distributed cognition process that give us meaning. So if religion loses power, we'll find other institutions that are sources of meaning.
I don't
Is that your intuition as well?
I think we are already doing that. I'm involved with and do participant observation of many of these emerging communities that are creating ecologies of practice that are specifically about trying to address the meaning crisis. I just, in late July, I went to Washington State and did Rafe Kelly's Evolve, Move, Play, Return to the Source. And wow, one of the most challenging things I've ever done.
That guy is awesome, by the way. I've gotten to interact with him a long, long time ago. He does like,
He said to say hi to you, by the way.
yeah, it's from another world. It feels like a different world because I interacted with him not directly, but so this is somebody. Maybe you can speak to what he works on, but he makes movement and play. And he encourages people to make that a part of their life, like how you move about the world,
Yep.
whether that's as part of sort of athletic endeavors or actual just like walking around a city.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I ran into him is because there was a lot of interest in that in the athletic world, in the grappling world, in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu world. People who study movement, who make movement part of their life, to see how can we integrate play and fun and just the basic humanness that's natural to our movement. How do we integrate that into our daily practice?
So
So this is yet another way to find meaning.
I think it's actually an exemplar of what I was talking about, because what's going on with Rafe's integration of parkour in nature, right, and martial arts, and mindfulness practices and dialogical practices is exactly, and explicitly so, by the way. He will tell you he's been very influenced by my work. He's trying to get at the non-propositional kinds of knowing that make meaning by evolving our sensory motor loop and enhancing our relevance realization, because that gives people profound improved sense of connectedness to themselves, to each other, and the world. And I'll tell you, Lex. I don't want to say I don't want to say too specifically the final thing that people did because it's part of his secret sauce,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Right. But what I can say is, when it was done, I said to them all, I said, as far as I can tell, none of you are religious, right? And they go, yeah. And I said, but what you just did was a religious act, wasn't it? And they all went, yeah, it was.